All right, episode 2 is dropped, and we're recording this the morning after. My name's Mike Wolf, and I have with me Carlos Rodell.
That's me. Hi. Let's talk about Tim Robinson.
Let's talk about New Blood. There's 5 Rons now, which is the title of this episode.
Yeah, and the title leads into the end of this episode. I want to do a conspiracy corner because I have a conspiracy about the title.
Okay, because I was going to ask what that title means, but we'll talk about it then. So
yeah,
let's walk through the scenes and kind of our thoughts.
Yeah, let's break it down. Let's say the beginning was kind of a misdirection. They have it where Tim is just running out jogging, and you can see that he's paranoid now because obviously last episode, all that stuff that happened.
And we all kind of we all puckered up a little bit when we saw that figure jogging behind him. We go, uh-oh, here we go again.
Yeah, it's like going to go right into it. And I'm actually kind of happy that it didn't because, like I mentioned last episode, go back and listen if you haven't, that I just didn't want it to get too dark right away. And I'm glad it didn't because it was a misdirection. He gets a text, the guy running by him was just a guy. He gets a text, oh no, hurry up, come back home. That was also not a thing. And he freaks out, yeah. But it wasn't that big of a deal. It was just that his daughter wanted to change the wedding venue.
Right, which becomes like a big part of the episode because we'll discuss later he has to, and we'll talk about this, but he really showed his good dad side, I thought, and why he has some redeeming values with this conversation with his daughter's fiance's dad, but we'll talk more about that later. So he runs home, he's freaking out. They want to have it at a Halloween venue. What the heck?
But you know what that's from, right?
No, lead me where?
Okay, they call it the haunted something, like a haunted house.
Yeah.
And that's from I Think You Should Leave.
Okay.
I'd rather go to haunted house more than Aqua. And I Think You Should Leave, 100% reference.
Okay, I missed that one. I love that they're putting these little Easter eggs in the show.
There's probably like 6 in this episode, and I'll tell you about them. Yeah. So
he does this, but then he does some nice. I mean, I think we go pretty quickly into the sleuthing part, which he starts to after this. He promises his daughter that he'll change it because his heart melts a little bit. The wife softens up after he's initially like, no, like he's super hardcore overreacting Tim, and then he suddenly softens up, which is the thing we keep seeing. Like his initial reaction, everything is like he has no frontal cortex processing capacity. He just freaks out.
Yeah.
He puts up these barriers, and then he kind of, once he has a little bit of time to absorb facts and information, he softens.
You know what it is, real quick? This is kind of a meta thing, but it's like his character is the character from Detroiters, and I Think You Should Leave combined. Because that's what that is, right? He'll normally do his and in this episode he screams a lot, right? But then he'll come back down to in this show he'll come back down to that, like you said, softening and warm. He's like incredibly, like even nicer than in Detroiters at times. He's just like, he really cares about his family. And they're awesome people, by the way.
Yeah, they're doing a good job of making him likable, even though he's so weird. And like his initial reaction to things is to freak out. Right. He actually has a soft and kind of soft, tender inside.
Well, and also in Friendship, like I keep going back to, I don't think he had redeeming qualities. Like, that guy seemed pretty terrible, most of the time. I rewatched it, and we'll talk about that maybe on another episode, but I definitely saw better parts of it, and I enjoyed it more the second time. But at the same time, he was the douchebag like from the beginning. So
we may have to do like an entire Friendship rewatch episode.
I think we will. Moving on, he goes into sleuth mode, even though he's had a good, he had a good family moment. He gets the T-shirt or that shirt from the guy and the pipe, and he basically does a really good job of researching. I think he did a pretty good job of finding where the shirt was sold.
But by the way, speaking of I Think You Should Leave, huge missed opportunity. If that shirt was from Dan Flash's, how awesome would that have been?
But I was going to say, that is another reference. The shirt was a little complicated.
It was complicated.
Yeah, and the place that he went to, the website, that they had a lot of complicated shirts. I think it was that. I think that was a reference.
So he does a good job sleuthing. He goes into that store and talks to the pretty funny conversation with the guy working there about a membership club that the guy's trying to sell him on, which is funny. And then another theme's emerging, another red ball. Like he had the red ball, he put the shirt on.
Yep. That whole character felt like from David Lynch. It just felt like a character that you would see in Twin Peaks, where he just had his own way of talking. And who does that? Who does whatever he did? You know, the way he did that with the shirt. Yeah, you can see here.
And he did the fist pump when he got him to sign on for the membership. Like this,
he duped him. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was a weird scene. But also before that, we forgot to mention, in a very horrific moment, really, and back to that idea of him being a jerk, Tim, or Ron, is he was speeding to get to that shirt place because remember he had to go with the other coworker.
Right.
And so the coworker was trying to follow him, but he wanted to like get to the shirt store without her. And so he runs a red light and she almost gets into an accident, and they overplay it. And they really do, like, again, David Lynch, where she just screams and cries.
And you could hear her screaming like all the way in his car because they're in separate cars through the closed windows.
That's such a David Lynch thing to do. I know that they are fans because that feels like a David Lynch moment. So, and when they're at the interview that he finally goes to talk about, what's he talking
about?
Breaking
ground for the mall complex.
Yeah. She's still crying, that coworker.
Inconsolable.
Really
She's inconsolable.
Inconsolable,
And you can start to see, I mean, she seems like a pushover. He kind of is really kind of rude to her.
That's what I'm saying.
I think we're gonna see his soft inside. Maybe I think he always he felt bad. He saw her crying.
Yeah.
He felt bad. He goes and does an interview, and he's starting to break the trust with her though, because she's like, as we'll hear about later, she starts to talk about it.
Yeah. So right after that, he has to go to the HR for that whole dumb debacle where he fell on the chair, saw that woman's skirt, didn't mean to. And they're taking this really too far. But another I think you should leave reference, because he has to sit in the room with the HR person, answer dumb questions. And I like every time Ron, Tim makes those faces, I'm making the same face when I'm watching the show. Because the HR lady is like, did you guys ever have romantically involved? And he's like, and I'm doing that face at home.
Yeah, his classic face.
Yeah,
he's like,
but his Tim face. But he has to watch that video, the HR video, and that's from I Think You Should Leave as well.
Yeah.
Because there's like 2 sketches with those videos.
And he had an epiphany watching. I'm trying to remember, what was the epiphany? He's watching the video shoot.
The stuff on the back of the shirt. So he was like, oh, that's where the bad guy was. He must have been on the ground with grass stains. And then he figures out where he was hiding, which leads him to the next section. He finds like fast food down there, and he's like, we can swear, right?
Yeah, we can swear.
Yeah,
this is
that little fucker was waiting for me here. And so he goes to the diner, which again is David Lynch. People listening to this podcast, go back and watch some David Lynch.
Carlos is on a David Lynch fixation.
Well, it's true, because that diner was madness, and David does that a lot. Like he used to do that a lot, where like it's just a chaotic scene for no reason. Like no diner would be that bad. The people are like fighting each other.
So that it has Twin Peaks reference kind of like vibes to it.
Yeah, right? Definitely. And
people are arguing, fighting, and he
throwing food.
Super hectic. There's a fire in the kitchen, and Tim can't read the room. Insists on trying to get the lady to tell him if she knows about the shirt, then asks about the video. And she's like, gets fed up, like, you got to leave. And then he sees the security guy.
And that's the guy who hit him.
That is, as we learn, his name's Mike. We learn his name.
Yep.
And that was a really interesting turnabout. I did not expect. So it kind of goes as you'd expect, right? He takes him in the back room or wherever. And then he's going to rough him up and Mike is not as he's weird because like he toggles back and forth between like a mafioso hit thug guy, then he gets scared whenever Tim kind of does this over the top reactions to stuff. Like he backs off.
Yeah, it's a weird dichotomy because that whole scene was back and forth, and he like tricked him. He's like he was pretending to be like in pain or and hurt or something. Yeah, having an issue. Yeah.
He scared him, like he's having a heart attack. He asks for his breathing apparatus,
his breathing machine, yeah.
And then he runs out, and he runs out in the alley, and he's throwing like boxes of garbage at him or something like that.
That's from the trailer. I love that scene. And again, Tim freaks out.
That was like maybe the most freak out I've ever seen Tim do. Like that screaming episode, like he's screaming, I think, to get attention. Like
hey, look over here. Yeah. Yeah, that like makes him stop because he's like, listen, I don't want that kind of trouble. Anyways, he ends up helping him. That's the whole idea, is that he like wins him over in a way that, listen, I know that you were just doing a job. That's what it turned out to be. Also, we don't know from who. We get the name of the character, I think, who hired that guy.
Yeah. So Mike the thug basically says, I was a guy hired me to do this, didn't pay me very much. And Tim convinces him. Tim's talking to him, and then the guy says, I can help you. Mike says, yeah, I can help you. And then they go and get a burner phone.
Yep.
And gives it
he
to
had burner
Tim.
phones. He had a whole bag.
He had a bag. He had a whole bag of them.
Yeah. That guy's got a crazy life. Yeah, I forgot that guy's name, but it's something like Mr. X. It's like a dumb name. It's like Joe X.
Well, Mike is the thug. Mike Santini.
No, I know, but the guy that they're going to go meet, they have a name for him. I think it's like Joe X or something. Anyways, so then after that, I think it's after that, he goes back to use the fingerprint thing. And another, I think you should leave reference. He pulls out the fingerprint set, which is like to look at, what the fingerprints are. And it has a little fedora in it. And that's from, fedora. I think you should leave all the little fedoras. That
was classic.
And he doesn't even know what to do with it because it doesn't have an actual hat. It's like just a prop or something.
Yeah, it was like a toy. It was a toy fingerprint kit, which he expedite ordered it, I think. Didn't he like order it for $170? Like,
yeah, he goes,
overnight?
I'm going to pay it. He's like, I'll pay 170. Yeah.
Because he has the pipe. So he got the pipe with the fingerprints. And then, but the thing is, was this before? Because at that point, he gets the kid. He doesn't really care about meeting Mike because he met Mike. So this must have happened before, right?
No, this happens after, I think, because remember he gives the thing to his kid. He gives the fedora. He goes, I got you this. Oh yeah. He just wants to get rid of it, I think. And so, so he gives it to the kid, and the kid actually, again, there's this wholesome side to the show. The kid's like, thanks. And he kind of does he keeps it. He ends up keeping it. Later on in the episode, you see it on his backpack.
The son is always kind of getting like Tim doesn't have time for the son. He's trying, but the son, you could tell, wants to connect with dad. Mm-hmm. And he gives him that little gift, which is a nice thing. But it always seems like Tim is like, he doesn't have much time for the kid.
Right. Because he didn't really.
He's so absorbed with the mystery of the chair company. Like I feel like he's neglecting to a certain degree the son.
Yeah. And he didn't actually get him that gift. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like it was just something to get rid of it because he didn't want it anymore. So here's the ending, is that they have a wholesome moment. I thought it was an incredible moment. Another reference to Detroiters, the father that he talks to convince that his daughter should have the wedding at the haunted house place, which is, I think he should leave. The dad is from Detroiters. The dad is one of their families. I think it's his dad. I think it's his dad. Yeah, okay. I think so. Tim's dad and Detroiters. Anyways, that guy's great. And he wins him over, and there's a heartfelt moment.
But we skipped the whole car scene where he's going to go with Mike, and Mike starts playing.
Oh, you're right. That's after.
Crazy comedy.
Yes.
The Wazy Waynes or whatever. It was just like two dudes yelling at each other. And they're not really yelling at each other. They're just like yelling.
It was awful. That was unsettling, that scene.
Yeah, it almost sounded like, what was that, Crank Anchors or something like like a crank phone call thing, and Tim's like going, what is this? And he has that look of like freaking out. Finally, the guy turns it off. Mike turns it off. And then Tim is insisting that they're going to, Mike Santini's insisting they're going to rough the guy up.
Yeah.
And they're going to meet him in a parking lot. And then he tells Ron to pick up the bag and has a gun in it. And Ron's like not having anything to do with the gun.
Yeah. That's when he reverts back to like, I need to go back to my family. And then that scene that I just mentioned happens because he gets back home and he's like, okay, I'm just going to be family guy, which he did in episode 1, by the way. He was like, nope, and then he got drawn back in. So they have the touching scene. I love the moment when he does the thumbs up to his daughter. That's such a cool little moment.
Yeah. Well, before we get to that, and then the final ending, which is kind of the, like that was the, oh boy, this is the little hook for the next show.
Yeah.
He really does show salesman Ron and also good dad Ron when he takes the father out in the back with some whiskey and he does like this great speech about how he just wants to give his daughter what she wants. You know, he how could he not? Like, this is his daughter's so special. And the other guy starts crying, essentially, right?
Yeah. It's impactful. And again, it's lots of times to me, I go, well, where's the joke, or where's something going to happen bad or wrong, you know? And then it doesn't. And I'm like, whoa, this show's just letting us sit in the good moments too. Right.
Yeah.
Like,
And that's the
just
difference.
Good.
And this shows that, like, it isn't just strung together. I think you should leave skits. Like, their character building. They make Ron like more redeemable and likable with that scene.
Yeah. And then the big twist at the end, which is it's a thriller all of a sudden. And he gets a picture, he gets a text and a picture and saying that there's no way out for him. And they're watching him basically. And they show a picture of him right then in the living room. And he notices the door is ajar. And he kind of opens the door to see if, you know, someone's out there. That's the end of the episode.
Well, the door is essentially, I think, like a coat closet. And he's thinking that the person may be taking the picture from there. I think the person took the picture from outside the front door, because there was 2 windows. If you saw, there's 2 windows on the side of the front door, and it could have as easily been from outside. Because I really doubt that the guy's taking photos and texting from.
Oh no, I don't think he's inside. Yeah, I think he's outside. Yeah, I don't know how you get that angle, because they showed a specific angle of that picture of him. But yeah, it's and again, who is that? Like, who do you think that is? It's not Mike. Is it Mike just being Mike?
Well, it's Mike's burner phone that he gave him. So
no,
I think.
Oh, you think it's Mike though that did it?
Yeah, I mean, well, that's what we'll find out next episode. But I think if it is, Mike is kind of this unstable guy who he says, once you're in, you're in.
Yeah.
And which is weird, because like, it didn't strike me as a paid gig or something, like a hitman or something. Like, hey, help me out here. I'll help you out here. But yeah. The guy, Mike, seems like he's unstable.
He's unstable for sure. Look, listen to what he was listening to. That is not entertainment. That's like that. You got problems. Yeah, I think it could be him. And if it's him, yeah, he definitely goes back and forth then, right? Like, oh, okay, I'll be normal. I'll be kind of normal. And then I'll be like crazy. And, you know, so I don't know. Time for Conspiracy Corner, though, because this goes into the title.
Okay, you're jumping to the very end. I do want to talk about a couple things about the workplace situation, but you want to do that first?
Yeah. What's the workplace situation thing?
Well, I mean, so his coworker that was going with him to the news shoot, I can't remember her name. Again, we need to get better at these names. She tells Ron that she wants to maybe be moved away from his desk.
Yeah.
But then she says that because you're dark, you have a darkness, Ron. But then she also says he has a lightness, and it's a reference to it. She just went to church, and then she invites Ron to go with her to the church, which I wonder if that's going to be a continuation, or that thing's just going to continue. Like, the relationship with her is getting a little more complicated and nuanced and kind of interesting.
Yeah. Right? I like how he's like, I don't want to do that.
No.
As soon as she said it, he just kept shaking his head no. I don't think he's going to go. I don't think that's going to evolve, actually. I think it's going to devolve, because, in my opinion, the show has kind of taken a break, from the speed that it was going on in episode 1, which I kind of liked a lot, actually. But I think it's going to eventually devolve. Like, I feel like all of this has to devolve. And so I feel like all the friendships are going to be strained. You know, Bubble Guy is already mad at him. I don't think there's coming back, which is funny, because they show so much light and positivity. But I think he's going to ultimately fail up to a point, and then maybe the end will be redemption. But yeah, I think she's going to be mad at him. Conspiracy Corner
time.
So the episode's called there's 5 Rons now. New Blood. There's 5 Rons now, and so I went on TikTok, which I want to do. And there was a conspiracy theory there, or a theory that this show is about time travel. And there are 5 Rons now would implicate that, like the idea that there's split off parallel realities of, like, real quick aside, when you make a decision in the world, the idea, scientific theory with quantum multiple realities, is that another reality is created at the same time, is a branch, and you're in the one that you picked, and then the other one goes on to be a real thing, but you don't see it. So the concept could be that some of this stuff is happening, and then also, okay, hold on, and also that the red ball is a time machine that he found, because it is very large and a person could fit inside it. And so there's some sort of like time travel that happened, maybe even when he went to the factory. That's why it's called Conspiracy Quarter.
Another one I saw was maybe he's breaking down and he has multiple personalities, and that's like the 5 Rons, which I think actually is more plausible than
it's more
like
plausible.
Some weird like multiple timeline thing.
I'd like the first one better, but yeah, that makes sense because he does jump back and forth a lot. I don't know.
But
we'll have to see.
I mean, was there an obvious explanation for the 5 Rons?
No, there was not at all. That's my point. There's not at all. So I don't know what they're doing. They're just being like sneaky. But overall, by the way, we can maybe do this at the end of each episode. I just like this episode better. Like, I thought this had more laughs. It had redeeming qualities for the character. It had mystery and intrigue and all the kind of, confrontation. It just seemed to have everything that I would want out of this show. And the first one felt mainly dark and like with a little bit of humor. But this one, I feel like it hit all the things for me.
I mean, pilots always have to be kind of a lot because they're trying to set up the storylines for the entire show and the run of the season. And so this one, it was a little more relaxed pace. I liked the sides we saw of Ron Trosper.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to revisit my thought of, is he kind of the heir apparent to Larry David? I don't think so. As I think about this, I was thinking about this, like Larry David they both do cringe, but Larry David says all the things we secretly want to say. Like, we all want to say it, but we don't have the guts to. Like, he says stuff to people that you're thinking, but you don't want to say. What Tim does so good is he has insecurities or urge control, like impulse control issues, and that's where all the cringe comes from. Like,
right, and he doesn't do like the cool one line, No,
like he's the opposite of like the cool one line, or like the anger at the customer service person we all want to be angry at and say stuff to. He basically, all the cringe comes from his impulse control.
And you know what? That's actually kind of more relatable in the fact that, like, when he was being attacked by Mike, and Mike was like, I'm going to rough you up and mess you up, and I'm going to mess you up your family. Remember? Before he got mad, it just showed him cowering, which is really interesting and I think impactful, that he was like, what like maybe a lot of people would do in those situations, right? He wasn't just like being like a movie and being like, whatever, get out of here, and punching him, He was like just scared. And I was like, that's more relatable, isn't it?
And was that there was the one they kept showing in his head, the pictures of his kid? Was that when during the gun scene in the car? Or was that when he's getting roughed up by Mike?
I think it was the gun scene.
He keeps flashing to his kids, I'm not that guy.
That was the gun scene.
He finally just gets out of the car. And then he goes and enjoys the final scene with the family.
Yeah.
And the conversation. So
I can't believe they put Haunted House in it. Oh my goodness. I'd rather go to Haunted House more than Aqua. I think he should leave. It's crazy. One more thing I want to say that I didn't say last episode is I personally, Carlos, say fuckers a lot. I got to put that out there. You can cut this if you want. But he says it. And whenever he says it, he did it in the episode 1 where he was typing to the chat, online chat.
Yeah.
And they weren't helping him. He was like, he typed fuckers. And I think I've done that. Like, I just say it in my head. I'm like, oh, you fucking. It's again, another human thing that I relate to. But all right, episode 3 coming up.
Yeah, episode 3 coming up. It might be a day or two later because I'm going to be flying back from Japan next week, and I get back on Monday. So we probably won't do the review till like Tuesday. So for those of you who subscribing, if you aren't subscribed, please do. We're getting some good feedback on the podcast, and it's a lot of fun. So we appreciate you listening to it, and give us a review.
Give us a review and leave us a note, and see if you had the same thing about me where you felt David Lynch was in this episode. Leave me a comment.
Bye, everyone.
Goodbye.